Hello, everybody, and welcome to the May 2018 edition of the Bizarre Briefing.
Whoa.
I'm Bryce Castillo. We got a packed house today. We got a fuller house, only on Netflix. Bong bong.
Nice. Do not approve.
I'm joined with Brandt Hughes.
Hi, that's me.
David Rowan.
What up?
Jacob Merrill.
I still don't know how close to get.
Okay, that's good. You got it right. And Jeff Schusler.
Hi.
5 people. This might be the most people we've packed into this studio ever.
Oh, well, I think we should just try to challenge ourselves next time.
Is that
Can we get the dogs in here too then?
No, let's not get the dogs in here. That's got to be true. I think so, Brandt.
Maybe in this like one spot.
Yeah.
But
I think the closest might have been when
we've definitely had like you, myself, Brian, Justin, Mike TV, Bonnie.
Oh, for like an auction, maybe, like one of the winter movie drafts. Because I know, like when they did that group therapy episode of Night Attack, it was Brian and Justin and Martin and Corey.
And I was
4
here,
people.
but I wasn't in the studio.
Okay, so you were not counted.
Let the record say.
It'll get a little lighter in like 25 minutes.
Also, in the middle of it, we're gonna have to stop and let these two out because we're gonna have to have like safe crackers to pull them out of this.
I don't think Brandt's going to move, and I'm just going to have to go under the desk
table.
here.
Climb over.
Yep.
All right, well then let's get into it, and we'll start with you guys. This past weekend, Memorial Day here in the States, but we had our own sort of holiday. We kind of co-opted the weekend.
We did.
With our own holiday. You want to tell us a little bit about that, dude?
Take it away, Jacob.
All right, so we had a big Black Friday sale.
Trial by
Can I talk
fire.
about? We called it Black Friday. The whole gimmick is we're going back in time, which I wasn't really consulted on, so I just kind of heard about that the same way any other viewer would.
Sure.
Should I talk about why, or is that
Please.
coming
Yeah, no,
up
go for it.
later?
Yeah, go for it.
So there's going to be a new Modern Rogue HQ, which is super exciting. It's going to be numerous acres of land.
Yeah, I think it's like
7
acres. Yeah. Very close to where the warehouse is now.
Yeah.
But it's very undeveloped. We'll talk about that a little more in the next topic. But so as a part of it, and Brian mentioned this in the video that we put on Scam School, the Scam School channel, that we need a little bit of liquid cash to do the closing.
I think we might be right at the mark.
Oh, good.
So I think we had a resounding success. We sold like 70% of inventory.
Whoa,
It's a lot of percentage.
That's
I
a
think
lot.
it might actually be closer to 75%. So like of 4 items, 3 of them are gone, which means the next month is going
restocking.
Yes, it's going to be crazy as far as getting stuff back in there.
For a second, it sounded like the warehouse only had 4 things, and on this huge Black Friday sale, you sold
we
3
sold
of
3
them.
of them. Yep.
What?
That'd be way simpler, I bet.
Yeah. No, I'm all for that.
All 3 of that. Excuse you.
Nice. That one I do approve
Yeah,
of.
no, that's
Okay, good.
I like it.
All right.
You mentioned on Slack that it was our single best day of sales ever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say that's directly related to my efforts, but
Okay, sure.
but yeah, on Black Friday proper back in November, we set the record, and then on this Friday, we set
it.
the new record for the single greatest day of sales in scam stuff history. And then I think Black Friday as a whole from November still
Beats the whole
beats
weekend.
this weekend, but for the single day, we set it this past Friday. So yeah, that was super surprising.
Yeah.
Honestly, because it's just not. I think people are expecting to pay a lot of money for things in November because they're buying their Christmas stuff. You know, they know Black Friday's coming up. They know the deals are going to happen.
Yeah.
And then this just came out of nowhere, so I really didn't expect it to be as big of a deal as it was. But
there are
Brian's
some
super-
real heavy discounts. Like I think that's the sort of thing for a lot of people where it's just like lining up funds for like, okay, well, I can't Black Friday. I would buy a bunch of stuff, but I don't have the money. But now I do, and this is like I think there's a little bit of that, just like opportunity, for a lot of people.
we get them before they go on summer vacation and spend all of their money on
Nice.
sunscreen and sand dollars.
your vacation,
Inflatables.
learn magic
That's
over
right,
the
yeah.
summer.
Yeah.
That you know what, that could have been a thing.
Summer. Well, we thought about doing
Summer
something
magic.
big in this month before, kind of like a summer release, just because it's kind of between, mystery boxes in the next Black Friday.
Yeah.
Or puzzle boxes if those happen in the fall. But Yeah, I think it super successful, and everybody's really happy about how it came out. And thank you to everybody who participated. Now we've got to try to make everybody happy who bought something that is in back order.
Yeah.
So
how was it like resetting the store? I know in the video we made it seem like it was a very one click thing.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned that you still had a lot of the price data and a lot of the graphics. Was it easy to set up?
That click actually in the video launched a missile.
Oh no!
Yeah, I didn't want to say that when I was filming, right?
Yeah.
But Kim Jong-un gave me a call afterwards and was like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "Kim, don't worry about it. Like, just put Dennis Rodman on the line. It's fine."
Topical.
Yeah.
Okay. So was it one of Kim's missiles or one of ours?
I can't say. I can't say yet. Yeah. No, we Jacob helped me out with this time. Last Black Friday, I did it all myself, and it's basically a process of switching prices over and then adding images. But it's not for images. It's a one item at a time thing.
Yeah,
we go to each item and then we add an image that's the big Black Friday image.
And you set that as like a featured image.
Yeah,
the cover image.
There's probably a Shopify app that will help with that, which we might want to look into in the future. But the one that we use for the prices is a bulk pricing app, but like it will apply the same percentage of discount to multiple products. But the problem is the percentage of discount.
It's not always exactly the same.
Like maybe 2 or 3 products use the same one. So there's like maybe 30 of those discount tiers that you have to toggle on and off. And the app itself will only allow you to toggle one on at a time. And it takes about 20 seconds per one.
Yeah.
So
but we have a lot of SKUs.
There's probably a 30 to 45 minute span of time between the time that you start the process and you end the process, or vice versa. And so it's in that time that visitors will go, says one price, but the image says a different thing. But that's just how it has to be for an hour.
Very cool. How much of the stuff that was bought, I guess this is a more broader question. How much is like the stuff that is on Scam Stuff is something that needs you guys' direct like involvement? Because there is some stuff that we package up, right, and like stamp and we send out directly.
So Jacob's been busy recently doing a lot of card targets. We sent a bunch of those in, and we sold them all. So he gets to make more card targets, which is what he loves to do.
Yeah,
I think it's damaging my lungs a lot.
You have are you using the respirator, right?
I use it sometimes, but I think the good one is now just hung up on Jason's fake head.
Oh, take it off. His head's not using it.
I don't want to screw up the background.
Don't worry. You could not possibly screw up that background.
I mean, it's like,
fingers crossed.
This might just be like the youthful stupidity, but we got like a face sock that is just basically like a bandit like ski mask.
Okay.
And it probably doesn't help my lungs much. But
probably not. I would recommend the respirator.
I mean, like it's more breathable, which isn't the point, but...
Yeah, you actually don't want to breathe too much.
Yeah, no.
Of
but I usually end up just kind of being like, I mean, I'm fine. I'll still be alive. I'll just wear this one.
He walks in at the end of the day, and there's 2 white spots in his nose from the paint. Like they're just right here. Like he looks like he's just been doing lines of coke in the garage. Which maybe he doesn't have the paint now that I think about it.
That's why the story's doing
he's super amped up when he comes back in the garage.
That's the secret ingredient to Scam Stuff is half the members doing a bunch of coke.
Yeah.
Okay, well...
but yes, I think the respirator is a good idea.
Please be careful about it. That's the sort of thing where just take care of yourself.
I get reminded that a couple times it's been brought up, like, I'm sure Brian's inhaled the same or worse. So
that shouldn't be your
I feel that's not a good benchmark.
I may have said that once,
right? And also, it
was like he's like these mineral spirits are really like potent, and I'm like, come on now, Brian's probably like inhaled a bunch of kerosene. And
you want to be like Brian, don't you? Inhale.
He does like
take a hit off of this. Don't be a.
In a year, he may do 10 hours of on-stage performance and a cumulative of 1 hour doing the fire eating routine. That's not a good analog. Very, very cool. I'm excited to hear that the Black Friday stuff went well. How are you like? Are you doing well, Jacob? Working in the warehouse?
Yeah. I mean, surprisingly, the sale was a lot more computer stuff because I was assuming it would be reminiscent of the mystery box, which was like I started right as the mystery boxes went on sale.
Yeah,
and so like the first few weeks was just like numerous hours straight of putting things in boxes, unwrapping things, taping everything up.
Yeah.
This was a lot more sitting on a computer and changing numbers and then emails for if stuff happened. But the warehouse has been like especially fun for that.
Cool. Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that it's working out. And you're starting the summer break. Right now,
I've been on break for like 2 weeks. I'm supposed to be taking summer classes, but I think they start today.
Oh, oops.
Yeah, so probably second half of summer. I'll probably be taking classes. Who knows?
First day is always just the syllabus.
Yeah, that's true. You never need to be there first day. Until you get that one professor who's like, I'm not all. This is a joke on the people who didn't show up.
Right.
I'm giving you all A's.
50% of your grade is the first day of class.
Yeah. That classic.
Yeah.
That classic.
Attending education is important.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
I suppose. Yeah.
Very cool. So we talked about what is it called? The Modern Rogue Worldwide Headquarters.
Before we get to that,
okay.
So we also sent out Scams Cash to Modern Rogue patrons of last month. It sounded like generally those are low turnovers. Did that were those like redeemed in large numbers for the sale?
I don't know. I didn't check that actually after the sale. I might be able to do that on my phone here, but I noted that like 50% of the people we sent them to opened them, which was pretty high for that.
Okay.
So I'm guessing that did translate into a little bit more use of the codes because
we also told them
the last time we sent one out, I don't think there was anything that really was significant on the store afterwards. So I think a lot of them just were like, it's $5. Like,
or I think it was like a few weeks before the Fire Wallet, or it was a few weeks before the Plasma Lighter, and we were telling people, hey, well, we have anything coming up in a few weeks.
Let's see.
Versus when we sent out the Scam Cash this time, we told them, hey, there's going to be a sale starting tomorrow, so come by tomorrow. And then they got a bunch of emails over the weekend.
Boom.
What's up?
It was used more often than the previous time, but as a total percentage of, I mean, I don't know if you want
to. Sure, I mean, go for it.
It's like 10% of the people who are getting the email are using it.
Wow,
or less.
But that's higher than the previous times.
Yeah, the last one was 7 out of 400 or something like that. It was it was pretty low.
I mean, I guess it's. I wonder why. I mean, I think those are all going to patrons, the Modern Rogue patrons, and so I think either there's not something on the store that they're interested in, or they don't feel the need to take it.
Might be a combination, and I feel like even though in the fine print we say this is not, if you use this, you are not taking away from your pledge to the Modern Rogue. Like the funds are sort of, you're just kind of eating into the profit margins of scam stuff, which is fine.
Yeah. We've talked about this a long time ago with the Cord Killers Patreon. Part of the Patreon means that we can do the sister show. It's Spoiler in Time. And especially early on, we had a lot of people who were like, hey, is there a way I can just give my money to the Cord Killer show? Because I don't watch the Spoiler in Time show. And like, well, they're all part of the same thing. So your pledge is not democratized to that level where you can give it to one thing or the other, because there would be it all goes into one thing. But I think some people are still a little, I think for some people there's still that factor.
Yeah, it just feels like to them if they use it, they go like, I wanted to give and I don't want to get. Yeah, you know what I mean. So which is fine. I mean, sure, it's something that we can offer, and if somebody wants to take advantage of it, know that they're not hurting us at all on the Modern Rogue side. And if they don't, then I suppose there is probably an indirect benefit to not using it, but it's far more removed than they might think. Yeah,
well, and it's always there, right? Like they
for 3 months or whatever.
Is it 3 months? I thought it was but they have it for at least a little bit amount of time. So maybe there's always the chance that they're like, oh, what, I'll use it eventually, and then eventually never comes. Or whatever.
I tell you what, if you're on the fence about, I don't want to use it because I'm going to eat into profit margins, buy one of the digital products. Sure. Some extra credit episodes, because those don't
cost us
we just
much at all.
Yeah, we pay a few pennies for the download. So,
but you guys need those pennies.
Well, you need the nickels.
I do. Yeah. I have given nickels. I think I talked about it on the show. Someone gave me like a big tequila bag full of nickels. I took it to a Coinstar, and it was like $35 worth of nickels.
Wow.
There you go.
Smaller than I thought. I thought $35.
Drinks are on you tonight.
Well, I already spent it.
Okay.
Well, it was weird. Okay, this is a very small tangent. The Coinstar will only give you, or I guess you can get cash from a Coinstar, but they take like 11%.
Right.
But not all the Coinstars give you coupons to all the stores. So like some of them will give you an Amazon credit or a Best Buy credit, but all of the ones in this area don't. So I think I got it like an eBay credit and had to like find for something worth $40 on eBay to buy.
I think this started at like 5 or 6%. Yeah, I think
they've gone up. Yeah,
and so you could just compete with Coinstar now by having an identical machine that just takes 6%.
I was looking online. This is no longer a tangent. I was looking online, and like some banks will have those machines, but apparently the banks have started getting rid of them because the banks would have low or no fees especially if you were a customer.
Because it's just a deposit.
But I guess it was just the sort of thing where the upkeep was so high on them, or that they broke so often that they just got rid of them.
I can see mechanical problems, and I can also see just the weight of the coins and transporting them and stuff like
But
that.
still, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a bummer. The Modern Rogue World Headquarters.
Yeah. So does it have a silly name yet?
I think that is the silly
name.
Well, that's not silly. It's descriptive. I like the Emu Den or like the Brushwood Burrow.
Oh, like a nickname.
Yeah.
I think there's space for a nickname.
An informal name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they were kind of trying to drill down because it was either between World Headquarters or
penmanship.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
Well, they were going
House of penmanship.
either going to be the World Headquarters or like the Modern Rogue Ranch. Because we're out here in the countryside, but I don't.
It's not going to be a lot of horseback riding, I don't think, going on.
I also tying it to calling it Modern Rogue World Headquarters is very like show specific. When in the short term, medium term, we're planning to move all of this studio over there and doing all the podcasting.
So like Cord Killers HQ.
Yeah. Okay. The Kill Center.
Yes.
The Modern Rogue Kill Center.
The Kill Center. Yes.
Yeah. The Night Attack / Kill Center.
I definitely don't want one of those like government signs on the side of the road that says "Kill Center this way."
I would love that. I actually.
It's
I know.
great.
Yes, we should not do that. But part of me is like, what if we did?
Up until somebody shows up at your door and is like, "This is the Kill Center."
Is this the Kill Center?
Right?
I brought my own tarp. Can I save money by bringing my own tarp?
Yeah.
What if we just got rid of the head part and it became the Brian Brushwood Quarters and it's just the BBQ? I feel like nobody's on board with this.
You have to explain
I
that to
withdraw.
everyone.
I withdraw, and I yield the balance of my time to Jeff.
I would say that would work if we weren't in a like very barbecue heavy part
Okay,
of the
BBHQ.
Well,
It's got a certain ring. Chateau Day.
How about just building?
Building.
there we go. Yeah,
Building 1.
Welcome to building.
What about the bizarre briefing building?
Now,
And then we could do at
Okay.
all for the other
B-cubed,
shows,
the
for Modern
B-cubed.
Rogue and everything else that people don't care about.
we'll do the award-winning. All this quote,
No.
the award-winning bizarre briefing office space. No.
Okay.
Nah,
Okay.
I'm not.
This is
feeling
just an idea, but Austin International Airport.
it. Okay.
Austin Bergstrom International Airport.
There you go.
No, leave out the Bergstrom so that way when people don't realize that you have to put that in, they come straight to our place.
And they're like,
wait, this isn't the Austin Bergstrom International Airport.
And why did you take my
Read the
baggage?
We do magic shows, right?
I mean, what other airport is on 290? Come on.
Yeah.
I think the airport's on 71, actually.
So it's 7 acres, and it's got a Fight Club house on it.
Mhm.
It basically does. Brian is in love with the fact that it's like a Fight Club looking place.
As someone who will be working out of the Fight Club house, I'm slightly less enthusiastic about how much.
Did I hear
Work it
correctly?
needs.
No toilet?
Correct. It needs
Well, everywhere's a toilet if you use your imagination.
the septic system needs to
work there.
the septic system needs to be redone, and I believe the air conditioning
What?
doesn't work.
Nope.
We're not moving in until the AC works.
Oh, I believe that those are high priority
It's just the
fixes.
podcast stuff for now.
Oh, okay.
Well, and there's also talk about like where we put inventory and stuff because there's not enough space in the house that's on the property now.
He wanted to bring in a shipping container or something like that in the temporary interim. I think that might be redundant to say temporary interim.
Sure.
But that is kind of a challenge. And I think it's going to be a challenge to get freight trucks in and out of that entrance. There's a kind of a side entrance. So I'm wondering if we can eventually make a kind of a loop for them. But, you know, the road through the property is not paved or graveled.
Yeah. Because right now it's just like...
It's paved with good intentions.
Yeah. And yeah, it needs work, it turns out.
Yeah.
He's buying. I think Brian clearly did want to buy something that would work immediately. He wanted something he could fix up.
Interesting. It's also haunted. So next item on the list.
Yeah. And I believe so. Brian talked a lot about it on Night Attack a few weeks ago. Let me get the right number. But when he first announced it, he was like, "Yeah, you know, we're doing the big thing," and it was kind of a weird timing for it because it wasn't. We didn't have the Black Friday sale really even in the sites, I think, and our crowdfunding ideas are not set in stone yet either. Okay, so it was 220 Bedtime Lullaby by Jesus, Night Attack episode 220. If you want to hear Brian talk more about it, so it's kind of a weird spot because we have a lot of people. It got a lot of, especially the Night Attack audience, really excited for it. And with not a lot to do about it.
Oh, well, you know, maybe that'll come.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah. I think if you want to get excited, get on the email list. That's probably the most direct way that we can, whatever happens, we get people to check that out.
Just get an auto-generated email. Bought a house, all in exclamation points. You could be excited.
Yeah.
So what's the, I've heard this idea. What is the goal? Have you all stated like the express goal of this particular property?
So I think the idea is to consolidate everything into one space. So the warehouse space is there. The podcast space is there. The Modern Rogue shooting space is there. And there's enough space where we could spend more time of the week there working, or Brian is in love with the idea of office hours. I don't quite know where I land on that, but the idea of having us there more often and doing more stuff together by virtue of being together more often versus now where we're all pretty remote from each other.
That's a hell of a commute for me.
Sure. It's not very far. I don't know if you know where it is, Jeff. It's about 5 minutes closer to town from where we are. It's very close to the warehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right up the road. When we get the helipad set up, we'll chopper you in.
Yeah,
sure.
we'll
okay.
A helicopter drone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I get one of those Mad Max helicopters? A little one-seater?
Look.
Auto gyro?
Let's take it one step at a
One
time.
step at a time. You're going to have to take the helicopter bus, Jeff.
It's the color of a bus.
Yeah. Hell lift. That'll be it.
A little stop sign that comes out from the edge. I don't know why.
For like a school bus?
Yeah.
All the airplanes around you have to stop. So, yeah.
Open Bayou asked if Brian's going to post photos of it. That'll come in time.
Yeah, I think the location and what it looks like and the big story about it are going to come closer to when we do some sort of crowdfunding thing. I have no idea what that looks like, but
yeah,
there's going to be some sort of thing where people can feel invested in the construction of the place, and that'll, by virtue of existing, create a channel where updates and stuff can natively go. But I think also part of it is that he wants to just do little videos and stuff on the normal channels so that people can keep up with it and see the progress. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we got to skedaddle.
Okay. Yeah.
Should we give Jacob the chance to do plugs?
Yeah, Jacob, do you have anything we want to plug? You're on Twitter, right?
Follow me on Twitter.
Well, you got to.
It's
all right, great.
Now I gotta give it my personal. I was young and naive. I made it just like my full name with my middle initial. It's Jacob M. Merrill.
Okay.
Merrill.
Cool.
I'm like never on there. but wouldn't mind racking up more followers.
Sure.
That's a pitch.
That's a hell of a plug.
Playing the game.
Yeah. David, you're at David Rowan, right?
Yeah.
And
David Rowan.
Are you running at Scam Stuff now?
But yeah, I mean, we yes. I
Basically.
mean, when the hecticness is that a word?
Sure.
Hecticness.
Hectosity.
The chaos.
The hectosity. I like it. Yeah.
Language is fluid.
When the entropy lowers.
Okay.
Look at that physics. Then I hope to be tweeting more often, or maybe Jacob will tweet. But every
I'm
now
already
and then,
in it. He just never lets me actually do anything.
it's just
You're only allowed to make drafts.
I'm just allowed to get notifications.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Okay, very cool. Well, thanks for joining us, guys.
You bet.
We'll take a minute here to let them out. Okay, we're back.
Oh.
Woo! Look at that. If you're
Oh.
watching on youtube.com/scam stuff, we
I
swapped
ate
the
them.
lens. Yeah, Jeff did eat them.
Yikes.
It was
Pressure cooker.
it was
Stuff them in there.
it was scary at first and then weird when you digested them.
Yep.
But
I'm
Like a
into it.
snake. You just
Yeah.
sure. So we talked a lot. I think the message of last month's episode was that things had slowed down precipitously, that there hadn't been a lot of shoots. And then in the past month, we kind of accepted the how much Brian would be out of town in currently and in the next like 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And so we hustled and got a lot of shoots done.
we do 2 or 3.
We did 2 scam schools back to back.
Oh.
We were going to do a third one, and then it worked out nicely that we didn't do it. But we also did 2 or 3 Modern Rogue shoots. We did 3 Modern Rogue shoots, or 3 Modern Rogue like weekend shoots, and then so that we could be comfortably set over this vacation period. And then, I mean, some of it's a vacation. Like Brian's in Australia now. I think he's talking at a conference, but I don't know if he needs the whole week for that. But yeah, so it's not so slow. Are you guys okay? We've been very like hot and cool on when we are like rushing to do a lot of stuff at once and then not doing anything for like 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always busy with something. It's like my usual flow is like get things done and then put off everything that doesn't need to get done.
Yeah.
So whenever there's a bit of a lull, it's like, oh well, there's still a lot of stuff that's just not getting done. So I still have plenty of work to do. So it's just kind of more of that.
Yeah. We had Memorial Day yesterday, and because Brian is out in Australia all week, we canceled Cord Killers for the week. And so instead of going to a barbecue with friends, I stayed in and started working on Scam School for this week because I knew we would be doing this, and we were working on some ad stuff, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, it kind of never ends.
Yeah.
But
Holidays are meaningless when you work from home.
yeah,
True.
right. I mean, I think everyone that was in this room at one point had asked, which holiday is on Monday? Which one is that?
Well, holidays do mean one thing. It's harder to get fast food
Yeah,
because everywhere is closed all the time.
No, you were saying Schlotzky's was open?
Schlotzky's was open. I went up there and I was like, yo, what's good? And it was great.
The original. You get the original. It's like salami and ham and turkey. What? Olives?
Something like that.
Oh, well,
Great stuff.
I know what's good.
Yeah.
I was just saying what's good.
Oh. See, I'm old, so I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's good, young man. So many things.
I'm a fan of the Fiesta chicken myself.
Okay. They had a good chicken cordon bleu sandwich that I liked.
I think it's interesting that Schlotzky's has been making the same sandwich since I was a child. Like they've been in town that long.
They started in Austin, I believe. But I had one in Virginia where I ate lunch at a lot at my last job.
The one that always sneaks up on me is Easter. I never realize it's Easter, and then I go out to grab some food, and literally everywhere is closed.
Yeah. The same thing for, I guess it kind of ties in, is Mardi Gras. Which is like, oh, do people
Celebrate that outside of
Yeah.
New Orleans?
Yeah.
New Orleans?
No. Yeah.
Mardi
Gras.
Weird. I literally don't even know half of the year that's in?
I mean, it's the week before Easter, I believe.
Yep.
I'll believe you.
Yeah,
Nope.
I believe
Okay.
it's the week before Easter.
It's like you party and then you get marks on your head and you're giving stuff up for Lent, and then
That's
at
Ash
the
Friday.
end of that is Easter, right? No?
Yeah,
That-
no,
that's
yeah,
that
you got it
wrong?
right. You
Okay.
got it right. You got it right.
Yeah.
Open Bayou in the chat says, well, unless you're on a parade route, then you never forget when Easter is.
That's true.
That makes sense.
Huh.
The other two
Wednesday,
things,
thank you.
they're not holidays, but since we're talking about days that come up that I never know when the Kentucky Derby is. I always just find out like after it's done that it happened. And it's like such a big affair, right? Like it's on TV, people talk about it, whatever. And it's like, oh, I guess it just happened. The same thing for Coachella. I never know when Coachella is until like the day of.
These are the weirdest holidays ever.
Oh, I said they're not.
Kentucky Derby and Coachella.
I said they're not holidays.
I never. Coachella just snuck up on me.
America took a weird turn the past couple of years.
What's that? What was that horrible? Did they ever make the new? Is it Fire Island or whatever? That one where they sold all those people the tickets?
Oh, Firefest? No, I think that lawsuit. I think they lost that lawsuit. Or I think they were. I think the lawsuit went through, and who was like the rapper that was like attached to the Fire Festival? There was some rapper that was attached to it who I think
Cardi B, Snoop Dogg,
no, older. It was
Say
more
more
like
rappers. Say more rappers.
It was like
Ice Cube,
No.
Pusha.
No, not Pusha T. I don't remember now, but there was a
Q-Tip.
no,
Q-Tip.
It's a little too obscure. Oh, here we go. Open mic
Too
says
obscure.
Ja Rule. That was
There
it.
you go.
The lawsuit's going on, but the manager pled guilty and is in jail. Yeah. Anyway.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Good that he's in jail, but it was also awesome.
I feel like we just need more of that, like huge celebrity level mistakes
Mm-hmm.
that we could just point and laugh. Something for the proletariat to just know that they can get their comeuppance. I don't know.
The literal embodiment of Schadenfreude.
So I mentioned it a second ago. Brian is traveling. He's in Australia now, talking at a security conference thing, some infosec thing. So he's gone until next weekend, and then the weekend after that, me and him are going to California to do the 2 Night Attack live shows in San Diego and Los Angeles. We'll talk about those in a minute here. And then after that, the week after that, he's going to Hawaii for like a week and a half.
Sure.
I don't know. It's like a family vacation. I think it's like a cruise ship. I think they're going to be on a cruise ship for a week or two, which is a very long time to be on a cruise ship. I think the right amount of time to be on a cruise ship would be 4 days, 4 or 5 days.
The one time I was on a cruise, it was probably like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, I feel like that's good. But I also think they're flying out of Hawaii, so I don't know if they're spending time in Hawaii or not. But then you got to get to Hawaii. That's crazy. But we spent a lot of time getting caught up, and it'll be another kind of slow period as we just kind of grind away on the shows and all the video that we've recorded to cover all of this time. It'll be weird. It's back to be con cold, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It was really strange. I had a question about Scam School Remix on Monday morning at like 4:00, and
AM or PM?
AM.
Yeah.
And I messaged Brian,
and he answered immediately.
And I was like, "Oh shit!" So Australia time. Oh, it's like 7 p.m. in Australia.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that like threw a wrench. We didn't have him on Weird Things because Weird Things records 1:30 here in Texas, which is 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. in Australia on the Gold Coast. So I was like, oh well, we don't have him. And then we had like and Brian's not good about texting or just getting, if he's very like one track when it comes to like messaging, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew he was awake because he was on Slack and he was talking with David about the Black Friday sale and the Black Friday emails and stuff. So like, okay, cool. We can nail down what's going on this week for the podcasts. And Cord Killers is the one show we could do because by the time we do it, we record that at like 6 in the evening. it would be early morning, but it would still be the morning in Australia where he could do it. But it was like me and also it was Memorial Day. So Tom, because we record Killers on Monday, we either want to like skip those weeks when there are big holidays where we just want to take off, or we need to shift those over. And if we decide to shift, when do we shift it to? I wanted to have that conversation, and it was very Tom and I got to kind of where we needed to be, and then I was like, well, all right, Brian, hey, what would you rather, like, it was very simple, like, do you want to cancel the episode, or do you want to move it to a different time? I was like, this is like trying to bleed, it's trying to get blood from a stone, just sometimes. And we figured it out. We decided, hey, we're going to cancel. And and then I see in scam stuff, I guess David had sent a test email to Brian, and Brian responds on Slack. I was like, sorry, I was in a flood of cord killers texts. I'm like, motherfucker. A, you could just go to your David Rowan text message thing and not have him resend you stuff. B, it's not like frivolous, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. It'll be weird. It'll be weird trying to find time for Brian stuff, because like he's going on a cruise ship. We don't know if he's going to have accessibility. What his internet situation will look like. He certainly he made it clear that he would like to do the show one of those 2 weeks that he's on the ship, because that's a lot of time to be with the family and not a lot of connectivity. But hopefully we can make it work. I don't know. We'll kind of.
They gotta have some way to have internet. You can't just ask people to not have the internet. Come on.
I mean,
I remember internet was a real pain in the ass. Admittedly, this was like 10 years ago that I was on a cruise, but
sure,
it was rough.
I wonder if, satellite has got to have gotten better where you can at least get a decent connection.
I would think probably.
But, when it comes to mobile data, you're not going to have any bars because you're out in the middle of the sea.
Yeah, I always got bars.
So that's that.
So it's a little millennial humor for you.
See, bars represent measures in musical notation.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
And so bars is like a freestyle rap or a pre-prepared rap.
Okay.
I've got bars.
Yeah.
Check out. I'm going to spit
my
you a
lyrical
hot 8
ability.
Bars. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like this. I wish there was some signal that I could give off all the time that was like, I want young people to explain things to me very slowly and carefully. And I'm just like, oh, interesting.
There's got to be an app for that.
Yes.
Urban Dictionary, right?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you go to Urban Dictionary about 80% of the time, it gives you a pretty straightforward definition of something.
I will say that I think it was like a week ago that I asked somebody, what's a thought? What is thought?
Uh-huh.
I don't know what that.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's a little bit of homework for all the listeners out there. Google thought.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Brian's availability, we'll figure it out. Another thing I'd like to talk about very quickly,
Sure.
like I talked about, Night Attack is going live on the road. We actually spent like an hour and a half on the phone, me and Justin and Brian, and like planned the show.
Wow, that's a lot of prep for Night Attack.
It was a lot of prep, and we felt good about what we ended up doing, or what we ended up planning to do. It will be interesting to see if it's enough, because I think when there are live Night Attack, and if you don't know, Night Attack is Brian's comedy podcast, nightattack.tv. When we do the live shows are kind of hit or miss for me sometimes, and it's tough because they'll be like, okay, we'll do our normal talkie bit at the beginning, but maybe we'll keep it really short, and then we'll have like a really extended middle segment, and then we'll kind of figure out something to do in the third act, and it always tends to be shorter than an hour, which Night Attack usually runs 60 to 90 minutes depending on the week. They've actually been really long the past 2 weeks. And so we have games and ideas prepped, but It will be interesting to see how they work, especially because these are not convention shows. These are like ticketed, seated shows.
Right.
I don't know. I hope they're good. Those episodes, I don't know if we're going to record them live, or rather, if we're going to live stream them. We're certainly going to try to record them video and audio, but I have to make sure that stuff is. It's always like this with me. It's like I need to make sure that the recordings are good before I can even bother with any sort of live stream idea. Especially because one of the shows is like one of them's at a comedy club or like a comedy theater.
The other one's at an arena stadium.
That's right. No, the other one's at like Scott Sigler's office.
Oh,
like his management office, whatever. He won't be there. He will be out of town. But I guess they've put on readings and stuff before, so the person there said that they have all the equipment that we need. So hopefully that works. But it's a matter of just like plugging into a bunch of new stuff and hoping I get that situated, and especially on that show, because on that one, I'm giving a quiz. I'm proctoring the quiz, so I have to I can't focus on audio equipment or video equipment at all.
Right.
So we'll see. It could be that we just do all GoPros. I have no idea. That would be really simple. But I think I wanted to do that for the last Dragon Con, and it didn't work out well because your GoPros aren't good for that. Turns out. Obama says it sounds like they are building the San Diego show as a bar hopping show. From what it sounds like, not necessarily. So there will be like a proper show, but because the San Diego show is like in the downtown San Diego area, afterwards they will go bar hopping for whatever that ends up being. But no, it's not. We're not going to be on the street doing that show. So that's the Night Attack live shows. We prepared for them.
That's good.
Yeah. I think a lot of it helps is that I guess Justin has a new, I don't know the right word for it, but I guess he has a virtual assistant who is helping keep some of his stuff on track. And part of it is that she is helping just make sure he's got booking stuff on track for these live shows.
Like Siri?
No, like a remote.
Oh.
A remote assistant.
Okay.
I love Siri to be able to do that. To just remind me of stuff. So, but that's helped make sure that all the stuff just like even happens. So check that out. Those will come out on the feeds too. When we'll record them. Jeff, you and I spent a couple hours before this recording, working out ideas and shooting some stuff for some ads.
Yep.
For Scam School, we've got domain.com back. I guess they got a new contract, and so we're doing domain.com reads on the Wednesday Scam Schools for what I was told the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
And as a part of it, we like brainstorm some stuff, right?
This is actually really strange because as much things as I do, I don't ever do skits with my meathead. In Rage Select, I have the puppet.
Right.
So it's all puppets. And so this was a little strange.
Right.
Acting?
But it's like, and both of us do like some form of streaming. All three of us, like we've done at least Twitch streaming, or you do the Let's Play stuff. Like Brandt, you've recorded yourself in numerous ads.
Sure.
But it is super weird to like act, quote unquote act.
Yep.
But I think overall it was very helpful. We got one ad shot. We got a wrapper for another ad shot. And then we had ideas for like 6 or 7 ads, and we plotted out. This
four more that we haven't done yet, but
yeah,
I really like I really like this as an idea of sitting down and combining forces and having a roadmap. Because the ad part is the part that I'm the least comfortable with when it comes to Scam School, is just trying to think of something. I like this quite a bit because at least for 6 more ads into the future, I know
6 weeks.
Yeah, for 6 weeks I know what I'm doing and when and what. Like I could get started working on the ad today.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that. Plus, I think it works better. So much of the edits that we do and so much of the work that we do is somewhat solitary. Is that what they have literal studies about how, like, if you're doing something with somebody else, it's a lot easier not to let it drift too far because you have a deadline and you have somebody else that's relying on you for certain things. So
the idea of someone looking over your shoulder,
right?
Basically,
it's a lot harder to just be like, "Oh, I'll do that in 20 minutes after I watch this YouTube video."
Right. And it was so part of the reason we had done it because we want to have a little bit of a theme, kind of a central idea behind these next 5 or 6 weeks. Of like, hey, Brian is out of town, so we need to figure out how to do ads without Brian in a situation where you and I tend to use Brian a lot in the ads. And so it's not like there's a little bit of a narrative to it, especially near the end of it. But it's all sort of one motif, and I liked both, like, deciding, hey, we can just do a series of a thing, whatever, but also the sitting down and coming up with ideas together and working stuff out and working off of each other to make each other's ideas better.
Yep.
Helped out a lot. And I feel the same about, like, trying to come up with ideas for ads. Usually it's the day before or the day of. When I can get Brian, we shoot a lot of the stand-ups for Scam School Tuesday, the day before the Wednesday episode goes up. And that's usually an easy enough thing where he and I can be like, well, let's just do something. We'll turn the camera on and you'll say something weird or funny, or we'll put you in a place and that'll be enough to fill out an ad.
Yeah.
But that's very precarious.
Yeah. I mean, like last week, the episode that I did went up late, and part of that was me really wanting to get Brian to do the ad, which I feel really bad about because that ad was just voiceover. And I literally thought of that idea when I woke up on Wednesday to do. Mm-hmm. If I had just thought of that idea a few days ahead of time, all I needed was 30 to 45 seconds worth of voiceover, and that became like a weird blockage because I was doing it all at the last minute.
Yeah.
So having stuff blocked out ahead of time, even if we just know you're going to need some kind of thing for this day, I think that's easier than just trying to come up with it all on the spot. But
yeah, and the other tough thing, Wednesday nights, and I think you maybe just hadn't bumped into this, and so you never known that was the thing, but like Wednesday evenings, Brian and Bonnie tend to like have blocked out for themselves, for them together or whatever, and so it's tough to like try to invade that space. That's a time slot that we constantly, not constantly, but we have to be aware of. And so that ended up being a thing where we had to wait until Thursday.
But yeah, I feel a lot better with this. Even if it's a rough, even if it was just, here are the rough ideas of what we want to do each week, then at least there's some guidance. It's easier to start from a rough idea than it is just from nothing.
Yeah. And it also means that it also means that, for the other ideas that we still have to do, we have to get together twice to shoot some more stuff.
Yep.
And that's something nice to look forward to, at least, getting together and working together. We work pretty well together, at least on this little thing.
Sure.
So that's always nice.
I'm like, I have to fight him every step of the way. So he wants to do everything French impressionist. I'm just like, no.
Have you ever, when you were doing ads, Brandt, like, you and I very rarely work together on any of them. Was it a sort of thing where that would have been more beneficial, or brainstorming stuff together would have been a helpful thing, or
I'm sure some weeks, probably. Sometimes I thought about ads a lot. So I would just kind of always be coming up with some ideas and then thinking about the feasibility of them. And then if I can modify them to be easier to shoot and edit, particularly for the time scale I was working on. But I also kind of, was crafted in the crucible of 2013, where I did every Scam School every week and every ad every week, and Scam School Remix and Behind the Scam all at the same time. Mm-hmm. So it was like I got pretty good at putting out an ad, under the deadline. It wasn't like necessary, but yeah, there were definitely some times where it's like, I'm really drawing a blank, and I could benefit from bouncing off of other people a bit. It was also tough to shoot sometimes, because it's like almost every one of my ads, I was the only person in it, and I was operating the camera. Yeah. Which is really tough to do, especially considering all of the cameras I've ever had. It's not like they have rear-facing monitors, so I'm just kind of like framing it up and
hoping it's right.
Yeah, jumping in there, doing some record testing, and then going back and reviewing the footage to make sure that I hit my marks right.
Yeah.
That whole charade.
Yeah. But so that'll start this Wednesday, this sort of series of ads, and that'll go for 6 weeks or so. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see. I think the Scam School audience tends to like the ads, even when they're easier, or like my ad 2 weeks ago was all right. It was maybe a little low effort, just having Brian walk up a country road and kind of given some sort of Pepperidge Farm style domain pitch. But people seem to like it, and I think people tend to like the domain ads, and so hopefully by putting a little more time and effort into them in this way, we'll see hopefully a better response.
I think that it's helpful working with somebody else, because like I don't have a Scam School until next week. I feel so much better about getting something started now.
Yeah.
Whereas it's always tended to slip into the same day that I'm trying to finish the episode / the day before. So
yeah.
Also, that tree ad ended up being like 5 hours of what do you call it? Keying.
Oh, masking.
Yeah, masking to get Brian coming in and out of all those different trees.
So that was the Scam School ad like 3 weeks ago, I believe.
Was that the one on the Instagram, or was that the magic marker?
It was the real life magic marker.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up here.
Let's see. Yeah, that one was. When we shot it, I was thinking I was so clever about getting everything to the point where.
Oh no, that's not it.
Might have been the week before. Might have been the Instagram one.
Oh yeah, the impossible Instagram illusion.
Yeah, because I remember being really happy with everything. That whole episode I felt like came out really, really well.
Yeah.
Because it had all the overlays with the other stuff. But yeah.
So
when we shot this, I was so sure that I was going to be able to not have to like do individual masking, but then Brian kept walking in stupid directions, and then I kept having to key him out over himself, and like I just barely getting him in one place or another. But there was even a part of that ad where he walks out and does the John Travolta thing from Pulp Fiction, that whole thing where he's just like looking around and very confused about everything. And
like GIF
I just couldn't. Yeah. I was like, I'm not going to spend another hour frame by frame keying him out of this one part.
And that was another thing where we had shot it the night before it was supposed to go up.
Yep.
I think it did come out good though. You didn't see too much of the masking, and part of the difficulty with that is that we were shooting it at right before sundown,
Yeah.
and we had to try to rush to get it so we didn't lose any of the light, but also the light was changing the whole time.
Right.
Yep.
And so we couldn't even like it was also compacted time to explore the space because further and further it just looks less and less consistent.
Yeah.
So but so yeah, ads, that's ads.
Mhm.
So Brandt,
Yeah.
because it is an episode of the Bizarre Briefing,
Yeah.
it's time for an Adobe update.
Okay.
What's
Yeah.
broken this time?
Um,
Have you updated in the past month? We can start there.
either the past month or the past 2 months? I forget which, but recently.
I think it was last month when you were telling us about the memory leak, where if you left it on long enough, it would just clog up the memory bandwidth. Is that right?
That was a while back. That was probably like 5 months ago.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
But yeah, they did another update, and most of it's fine. I've got the window open where it shows your different instances or whatever. So like assembly, editing, it's like presets for all of your window organization stuff.
Oh, sure.
And
Workspace layout.
yes,
Yeah.
workspaces. But apparently on the new update, anytime you change what workspaces are present, it doesn't save. So every time I start up Premiere, it shows all of the workspaces. And I'm like, yo, I don't need the learning workspace. I got it, guy. Right? Mm-hmm. So delete that. Next time I load it up, it's right back there.
Is it is that something where the workspace is saved to the project file and it's pulling it from a template? Because I have that with the Scam School template. I just need to update the template and move the effects panel over to where I keep it. But even though I did recently update it, I haven't gone and updated that thing.
Well, actually, now that I think about it, that probably isn't it, because I will get things how I like them, save the file, close it down, open up the same file, and it's back to default layout.
Weird. I've never understood how the Premiere workspace workflow is supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Whether you are supposed to edit it, whether you're supposed to arrange the workspace the way you like it, and then create a new workspace, or if you're supposed to create the new workspace first and then arrange it and then somehow save it. I've never really gotten. I don't know the right order of operations for that thing, but it sounds like it's not even. Is it not saving the workspaces, or it's not saving which one it should default to?
It does save the workspace. It's just like that bar that shows all of your workspaces that you can choose from. It just shows me all of the workspaces, and it's like I use 3. I don't want to see all of these. Just give me my 3.
Yeah, I don't get that bar anymore. I used to get that bar.
I mean, you could turn it on and off.
Yeah, I must have had it off. Is it the only? That all told, that would be a pretty smaller.
Yeah,
issue.
It's an annoying thing, but it's not a huge thing. I feel like there's some other issue, but it's not coming to me immediately.
Is Titler better? I keep using the old title designer because I can't use the new title thing, the new text stuff. I can't use it.
It sucks.
It's the same that it's been since they updated it. It's not like great, but it's fine. I also started using Essential Design or something. There's another window that's Essential Graphics.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Because this one has like the centering on it.
Yes, and so I use that just for centering text.
Okay.
Do you get that thing? Is it? I don't know how they've managed to do this or how it hasn't been fixed. How like I will select the entire word to change the size of it, and it always the last letter is not selected. Like I always end up with one letter not selected of the title, and I don't know how. It's like it constantly happens, and I hate it. I hate it so
I haven't
much.
noticed that, but I've noticed a lot of like I will paste something in with Control V, and it always registers the V. So it pastes it in and then puts the V at the end.
Oh my god.
So that kind of sucks.
I have a bunch of issues with the version of Photoshop that I'm on. I updated that probably like 6 months ago or so, and it's there's a lot that I still don't like with it. My Premiere is still working okay, but I don't know if they ever. Do you keep Photoshop up to date also?
Oh yeah, Photoshop.
Is it still doing that thing where you'll open Photoshop and if you go back to another window, it'll keep stealing focus from that window for like 10 minutes?
They fixed that like the very next update.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
I haven't had any problems with Photoshop in a while.
It's like that, and also I like to do like when I'm scrolling through or when I'm choosing a font for text, I like to write out the text and then use the drop down and use the arrow key down to change it. But the problem is that if I like stop and look at something and I confirm that text choice, the next time I go back to do that using the down key, instead of where I was in the list alphabetically, it'll start me like at the very top of the list with the recent fonts. And then I have to go all the way back through the alphabet because it's so weird. That's probably a thing that got updated a long time ago, but I could live with updating Photoshop, but it's the sort of thing where you update one of them and it's going to update all of them, or it won't work with After Effects needs to be on the latest version to read Photoshop files from the latest version, and then the dynamic link needs them to be the same, and then your media encoder has got to be, it snowballs.
I think I had an ad where I bought an After Effects template. Yeah. And I used it, and I had to update everything to use it. And then as soon as I was done, I rolled everything back to where it was before. I was just like, nah.
You know what I want is this is what I wanted last time. I think I remember what we were talking about. Is I was on 2017, and when I updated, it put me on 2017.1. Or so it was something like that, or maybe it was like 2016 to 2016.1, and that's still a new compatibility version apparently. So I was updating all of my templates and stuff. If I can stay within that year, the most recent version of that year, I would love to do that. But it's the Creative Cloud control panel app is weird to me, and I'm sure the option's somewhere in there, but it's plight.
I've never understood this feature that they implemented into Premiere, and I'd love it if anybody understood anything about it.
Sure.
They've got this thing where they're like, yo, if you want, you can open up 2 projects at the same time. And I'm like, okay, I would love 2 instances of Premiere, so that way if I could like work between them, that'd be cool. But they're like, yo, check it out. You got a project open up another project. And so I'm like, okay, I open up another project, and it just takes all of the sequences and everything and mixes them in with all of the sequences to the other project that I have open. So like on the timeline, it's just like 80 sequences, and I'm like, and there's no way to tell which one came from which project file.
Oh, so it's okay. See, when you and I when you were mentioning this, I thought you meant 2 separate windows.
No, it's all in one thing now.
That sucks.
And there's still 2 separate files. So if you make a change to one and you save it, it just saves to that file. But it's like impossible to navigate.
That's so dumb.
I don't know who benefits from that. Maybe if somebody's like, yo, I've got a project that just has 1 sequence and like 3 clips in it, and it's like, okay, well, maybe
they're doing a lot, something that has a lot of project files that are very shallow,
or
something.
And it's like, oh, well, maybe if you're not actually like doing a whole lot, then it's more manageable. But it seems like nobody actually used it before they shipped it out. Just like so many features in Adobe Premiere.
I'd be willing to bet that it's some stupid disconnect where at Adobe they're like, well, you should only ever have like 2 sequences, right? So that when you merge your things together, there's like 4 of them, and they've all got distinct names. You should use nesting a lot more than different sequences. Yeah, obviously.
You know what it might be is if you are trying to copy, say, an effects chain or a filters chain or something, and I don't know, someone said, oh, well, I want to copy this chain of effects or these properties, but I can't because it won't carry over when I open up another file, when I close and open up a new file. And so if I have them all in the same window, that's a way for me to easily copy paste stuff like that. But even then, you should, if you're doing that enough where you need the feature, you should be using presets.
Well, I mean, like I copy a lot of times the titles for the establishing shots on Scam School from a different file. And I will admit that it is really weird opening up a whole project, selecting a title, hitting copy, and then opening a whole different project and hitting paste. But that solution that you just described is no better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost worse.
And also, hey, if you saw a Title Designer can export titles. So I have a couple of on location stuff that I use. I kind of rotate through a little bit, and I have them as OTL files. So I just bring the OTL file in and adjust it how I want it to look a little different, and then I didn't need to open or import a whole project or open up a second project at the same time. That's weird.
But yeah, transferring some stuff is fine by doing that, but it's like I've got to open up both, and then I have to find the sequence where the thing that I need to copy over to the other project file is, and then I find it and I copy it and I dig through and I find the other sequence and then I paste it in there, and that works totally great.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, save this, close both of them because I can't work like this, and then just open the one, because also you can't just close one of them.
Okay.
You have to close both of them because it's merged into one window.
Wait.
It's a seamless one thing, so you can't just say, okay, well, I'm done with this second project, I'm just going to close it. You can't do that.
They will treat them as separate projects in terms of saving, right? You're not like appending them. Okay, that's still super weird that you can't. So so if I have a project open, okay, this is getting into very specific. If I got a project open, I'm done with it, and do I have to close that project before I can open up another project file, or if I hit open, will it append them automatically? Is that the default for open now? That's weird.
I don't know if you do open with the Control O or whatever, but I know if you just go find your project file, double click on it, it will automatically merge them together.
Oh, that sucks.
Don't ever update. Don't do it.
Updating is great.
Don't do it.
Just make better software.
I mean, that's the dream, right? Is that updates make stuff better. But the reason I don't update is because it just makes new problems.
As a human who has been alive for a long time, I can tell you that since I was
way to go with that, yeah.
I think I started fucking around with Adobe stuff when I was 18, and it has always been a burned pile of garbage feces. Like there's always about 30% of every Adobe product that's just like crap and doesn't work right, and it's been that way for years. Like it's been that way for 2 decades. They've never made a product where it's just like, shit, this one's great, this one's perfect, and it works great, and it's got no problems. It's always like, it's great unless you want to do these 12 things, or unless you hit the V key and then the whole thing catches your computer on fire.
I'm gonna say something. I don't know if it will track.
You secretly love Adobe.
No.
You work for it.
He lifts up his shirt, a giant Adobe tattoo.
It's Mr. Adobe.
This is my scarlet letter. I don't know how this statement will track in the future, but it seems like, and I think this is pretty much across the whole Adobe suite, that the products are tending to plateau, and that the new features are not what you would consider essential features. Like if you look at like old versions of Adobe, you could not mix file formats. You had to make sequences that were specifically matched the file footage that you brought in, and it had no conforming at all. You would have to make a new sequence, and those sequences had to have footage that matched. You couldn't change sequences after you made them. It was a Byzantine but essential feature, which we take for granted now, which is native format conforming, mixing formats together. But now it feels like a lot of the new stuff that they're adding, whether it's the essential graphics or I don't know, is this a thing that they have out now, the new like talking head morph feature that they'll do? They showed off some demo of a new feature where if you have footage of a talking head, someone giving a testimonial, you could cut between a shot. As long as the shot was not moving, it would morph it so that it would hide a cut for you.
Yeah, morph cut's been around for like 2 or 3 years.
Okay. Great feature, probably not essential, right? Because the fundamentals of editing are such that that's a good new approach to it, but you can just cover your edits. There are other ways to hide edits.
Mm-hmm.
You're not fundamentally changing the way people are editing video. And so I don't know if we're just going to keep getting new gravy from Adobe, or if we're going to see more fundamental shifts of making the editing processes easier. I don't know. I think not, though.
I mean, I also have a hard time thinking of, like, at least on the spot, a feature where it's like, this would make everything a million times easier outside of everything working.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess, well, I was going to say maybe it'd be easier if it was all one program, but I don't actually think it would be.
No.
So it's like,
I would settle for if they just stopped doing updates and started doing optimization. Any amount of more. I mean, every time I get to the end of a Scam School edit, I can barely scrub through the timeline. By the time I get done with color correction and all the different cuts for audio leveling and stuff like that, I can barely use the file. Like, but
yeah,
that'd be more useful than being able to morph cut a head that doesn't move around that much.
I mean, here's a fun thing I had to do every Mono Rogue. Sometimes Premiere just decides that, if you have a multicam sequence, it just won't render one of the camera cuts.
Mm-hmm.
So I duplicate the sequence as a flattened sequence, and I select all the footage, right click on it, flatten it, and it pulls that footage out of the nested sequence.
Right.
And then it's just the actual raw files, and then I render that, and then there's no problem.
Yeah.
It's just a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Well, and also for longevity's sake, you've removed that multicam data.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why it's a duplicate sequence.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Like I'll have a thing with multicam where I'll do my color correction inside the multicam sequence. So if I've turned off layers to kind of compare shots, if I forget to turn all the layers back on when I go back into my main sequence, it will remember that certain tracks are not visible, but I can't. But even if I go back into the sequence and turn those channels back on, it won't update it in the primary sequence. I have to close the project and like reopen it, which is a small hurdle, but a hurdle nonetheless. It should be able to just remember that. Okay, I turned the sequence. I turned those layers back on. Just check it again. It's no.
Yep.
So
what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I don't know. What are you gonna do? So you were telling me about this call that you got.
Yeah, I got a phishing call like 2 days ago for the first time.
Yeah,
it was kind of a fun, weird thing. I never answer my phone for anybody ever, unless it's my parents.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much the way that I go about things. Anytime I see a phone call, I go, yeah, I'm going to turn this off. And if it's important, you'll probably leave a voicemail.
Sure.
You
need to make a shorter voicemail also. I just remembered. You still have that very old like sketch as your voicemail.
It's a great voicemail though. And so I woke up the other day and somebody called me like right as I woke up, and it was an 800 number. And I was like, no thanks. And then they called me back immediately, which like nobody does. So I was like, I'm curious.
Human immediately or robot immediately? Because I've had a thing where I'll get a scam call that calls me, and I'm pretty sure that they try to call me twice from the same place from a different number so that the other one can go direct to my voicemail while the other one's busy trying to call me.
Oh, weird. I don't know. It was a few seconds, a handful of seconds. I don't really remember. But they called me back, which intrigued me. And so I answered it, and it was some dude who was like saying that he was from AT&T customer support, some shit. and he was like, yo, there's this somebody put in an order for an iPhone X that's sent to this address in Alabama. We're just checking to make sure that that's not you, because we think your address is this. And I was like, well, I didn't.
Did they have your address correct?
I think so. It was my dad's address, and my dad just moved, so I don't remember his address yet. And so I was like, yeah, that's not. I don't live in Alabama, and I didn't order that phone. So he's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna send you a verification code, and I need you to read that back to me. And so I was like, all right. And so I got the code, and I sat there and read it, and then I didn't say anything to him. He was like, are you there, Mr. Hughes? Are you there? And then he just like, he kept going at it for a little bit, and then he hung up and called back. And so I was like, all right. And so I answered him, and he was like, sorry, we got disconnected. Did you get that message? And I was like, yeah, I did.
And you had read it back to him, right?
No.
Or was okay.
Thankfully, I had not.
I see.
Because the message was like, hey, did you request an account change? And I was like,
I see. Okay,
yeah. And I was like, yeah. So can I call you back or something? Because this sounds a lot like a phishing scam. And luckily we had done that phishing episode of Modern Rogue just a couple months ago, so it was still fresh on the mind. Otherwise, I might have been gullible enough to just be like, yeah, whatever. And he was like, yeah, just a customer support number. Thanks for your time. Goodbye.
Jesus.
And so I was like, and it was from AT&T's customer support number. I went and checked on the website and everything, but
because they do spoofing.
Yeah.
Man.
But I was like, that was close call.
It's always a weird thing.
And it's weird because like recounting it, you can kind of be like, oh, well, here are some red flags here. And there's a lot of clarity in hindsight. But at the time, it's like, I've been awake for 5-10 minutes, and it's like, I definitely could have very easily fallen into that.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a tough thing, especially looking at it from outside of, in the moment. But when you hear it's like, oh, well, they're not going to call you. They're not going to call you about an order to confirm an order that they would have been the ones to place. Or even if not, they don't care if it's a fraudulent order in the first, at all.
I mean, one of the things that gave me pause is like, I've gotten calls from my bank about like, hey, we've seen some account on your activity that we don't think is you.
Yeah.
And they read off the activity, and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't sound like me. And they're like, all right, cool, we'll handle it.
Yeah.
And then that's it. So it's like the first half of the call seemed pretty plausible. But then it's like once it started getting to the verification pin, it's like, no, that doesn't read as valid.
But the other thing is, like having them ask you to read what is, some form of two-factor authentication or whatever is always sketchy. But like buying a phone on over the phone or in person or whatever, online even, it's a to-do. And you don't get far enough to where they place an order for you and then stop and need to ask somebody else to make sure that it's right. Like there are enough parts in that process where it would be very hard to defraud someone, because you're signing a contract. You're often signing, especially nowadays, some sort of a payment plan or a 2-year contract. It's weird.
I sold phones for a brief period of time, and it is a big to do. But there is definitely like some fraudulent phone order stuff where it's like, yo, this dude wants 200 phones, no questions asked. And I'm like,
well, I can't ask any questions. Shit.
And so there are some weird things like that. But yeah.
I don't trust anything that comes over my phone anymore. There's so many there could be something legitimate. I'm like, you need to send me a letter. I'll believe it when it's on a piece of paper.
Sure.
You tell me anything over the phone, I'm not going to believe you.
Okay. Someone was asking about shirts. Is there any? I don't think that there's been any change on shirts.
Slight change on certain, not change, progress. Quarter 1 shirts have been printed.
Okay.
Is my understanding. Our printer guy is maybe not the most communicative. He was like, hey, I'll totally get these printed by the 9th. And then I was like, okay, cool. And then a while went by and I was like, hey man, any updates on this? And then nothing. And eventually he sent something to David.
Yeah.
And then David told me that they were printed. So I guess they're printed.
Cool.
And that means that they'll probably be en route to distribution center soon, and then from there to other people. But
they have to get there. You have to know that it's ready to go.
Yeah, I'm not really privy to all the details, but it sounds like that's happening. As far as quarter 2 shirts, it sounds like we had a design done up by John Rubio, but I don't know if those are going to be co-opted for a fundraising thing for the headquarters thing, or if those are actually going to be quarter 2. So I have to like start designing a shirt as a backup.
Yeah.
We also got a guest designer for the next quarter shirts,
but he couldn't do it in time to replace John Rubio's shirt.
Right. So theoretically we'll have a cool design from a new person.
Yeah.
Next quarter.
I can't say who it is because I don't remember his name, but I
know his name.
Yeah,
But is it okay to say who it is?
Let's hold off until he's actually done something.
Okay,
but I believe he's worked on some pretty big video games, drawing stuff, right? Or am I thinking of someone else?
He's worked on some game stuff, but he's mainly
comics.
Oh no, he does comics.
He
That's
does comic
He
stuff.
mostly does a lot of comics.
Yeah,
A tease.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man. Okay. Well, do we have any extra off-topic stuff that we want to talk about?
Planner update.
Yeah.
We haven't had a planner update in 2 months or so.
Look at this thing.
Last I mentioned, I was looking at the Hobonichi.
Yeah.
It is a large resolution photo for the visual viewers. And I was like, okay, cool. I don't feel like any of these planners are going to work, but the Hobonichi Techo seems fine. So I'll go for that. And then I was like, oh man, I'm going to have to worry about like shipping in from Japan. It seems like a hassle.
Yeah, especially for something small.
Yeah. And then I looked on their website and I noticed that they had a couple of locations in the US that sell them. And two of like the 15 or 20 in the US happen to be in Dallas. And at the time I had a trip scheduled to Dallas in like a week or two after I'd realized that. So I went up there to visit my mom and my little sister. We went to like the aquarium and Legoland and stuff like that. And we were right by one of those places. So it's like, yo, maybe we drop by one of these places and look for this thing. It was right around my birthday. So I was like, I would really like this planner. So we drove up there and it was like, I knew we were in the right part of town as soon as none of the signs are in English.
Right.
And I was like, I've never been here before. So we pulled up to this little bookstore. And it was cool. They had pens and ink and books. And
were they good pens? Was it good ink though?
It looked like good ink. I didn't check it too deeply.
Okay.
They had my rodeo.
I figured your new pen lifestyle would have given you, hey,
that's pretty good.
Don't abuse ink inhalants.
Yeah.
They had my notebook and stuff. They didn't have the Hobonichi. I had a good 30, 45 minute search of like, okay, if I were a planner, where would I be? Where would I be? And
was it in one store?
No.
Okay.
So I I looked around a bit, and they had a little table with a couple planners, but not the one that I wanted. I tried to speak to the cashier lady, and she didn't speak a whole lot of English, but we worked our way through it. And basically, she was like, "If it's not over there, we don't have it." So, and then I got the bright idea of calling ahead for the other store, and they were like, "No, we actually don't sell those anymore." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And
time.
My mom felt a little bad, so she was like, I'll just order it from Japan. And I was like, yes, I don't have to worry about it now. So it came in like 2 weeks. It came in pretty fast.
Yeah. I haven't seen you use it. It's a pretty small little thing, and you have very like meticulous handwriting, you know, where it sort of fits within this sort of grid planner thing.
Yeah, so it's just this little guy. It's
smaller than a paperback novel.
Yeah, a little bit smaller than the height of my hand.
Yeah.
And it's got it lays flat on a table, which is nice.
Oh, when it's open?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So that way it's kind of easy to write on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I use it. I mostly use it for like logging my day, because I have a really hard time keeping track of time. And so I actually use like a handful of apps to kind of help me with that. So I've got an app that basically tracks all my GPS movements, and sets up a timeline of my day. So that way it's like, okay, if I needed to know, and sometimes it doesn't work very well, but sometimes it does work well. And it's like, oh, if I need to know what happened last Wednesday or whatever, like I have no idea. But if I go look up that app, I can be like, okay, so I at least know that I left the house at 7 p.m. and I drove to Torchy's or something. Sure. And then I got to Torchy's at this time and I stayed there for this long, and then I left and I was in transit for this long and I got home at this time.
Sure.
And then I keep track of work time with a different app where every time I start doing work, I set a timer and it basically tracks how long I've worked. Okay. And it's used a lot for like freelancers and stuff who bill by the hour.
Sure.
And so I can kind of look back at
and
things.
you've been using that one for a while. I know you've talked about that timer app for over a year at least.
Yeah. So the work hours one is called Hours, and it's great. The GPS one is called Moves, which I've been using for like 5 years or something.
Oh wow.
And it's not great. It used to be pretty good, and then I think they got like acquired by Facebook or something, and then they were like, we got the technology, but we're not going to support this anymore. Yeah. So it's kind of broken.
There was one that I used for a while. I don't know if they got acquired by Microsoft or something, called Miles IQ. And that would like detect when you are driving, and so it'll be like, cool, we're starting a trip for you. And it'll follow your GPS and it'll follow your mileage. And at the end, it'll say, hey, was this business or pleasure? And so it'll keep track of those throughout the year. But that's very specific about mileage. It would probably be similar enough if you're just trying to find out when you went to where.
I think Intuit has a similar thing.
Yeah. Maybe that's who they got bought by. They got bought by somebody.
But yeah, I do a lot of times use that GPS thing for tracking miles for driving to work and stuff. And then I keep a spreadsheet of like, these are work miles and how many miles, so that way I can write them off, because you get pretty good deductions for that if you're self-employed.
Do you know what it says at the bottom of each one of the pages?
So those are all like quotes.
They're quotes. Yeah.
They're like aspirational quotes or something. They also have them so I could have gotten an English version of this planner, and they also have the quotes in them, but I really didn't want quotes at all. Really? So now they're in a language I can't read, which I love.
Well, also, do you know what all this stuff in the back is?
So
there's alligators and fishes and stuff.
So there's really great stuff in here. There's like disaster preparedness plans.
Okay.
Because it's from Japan.
There's like exercises for you to do in between work, like stretches.
Well, I mean,
like radio exercise. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because, it's a product of Japanese culture, and there are some cultural differences. And sometimes it's like, oh yeah, there's just like weird lists in here of like food that I like. And it's like, there's zero reason for me to have that in here.
Sure.
But, yeah.
Wait, is it like set up in a way that it's like, okay, you could do something with this? Like, okay, I'm going to mark how many times I've had this food item, or is it just a reference guide?
I don't really know.
Okay.
I haven't
Actually, can I see?
Yeah.
I have an idea about that.
And so I went with the Japanese version because one, you could get an April start instead of a January start. And I came at this so late that it was April by the time I wanted one, and so April start makes a lot more sense. And also the Japanese version has marks for every hour of the day, and then they label every third hour. So it's like a 24-hour timeline that I can fill out really easily.
Yeah.
The English version has that, but they only labeled the 12th hour. So that way you could have it so that it starts either at noon or at midnight.
Okay.
But I don't know why anybody would ever start it at noon. That seems like something a crazy person would do. So I went with the Japanese version because it's very clearly like, no, it actually starts at 3 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty close to my schedule.
Or it looks like 4 a.m. at the very top.
4 a.m.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is weird. So it does have like exercises that you can do in the office, TK stretches.
Sure.
It has multilingual phrases, so how you say hello in different languages and please. It has a horoscope. It has a horoscope, and it'll tell you like what sign you are during the year. This part's weird. There's like a couple of pages here where you can like write reviews for stuff.
Yeah.
Like you just say, oh yeah, this is I saw a movie and I give it 5 stars or whatever.
Corn chips.
Yeah.
This looks like local food, like delicacies of the various prefectures of Japan.
Sure.
Local gohan. This is okay. I can kind of see this. Moshimono no Tokino. What is that?
I mean, there's also like
some stuff in here, huh?
Like, I approach this mostly from wanting a planner just to track my day.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of like Japanese planners that are also like, here's just things about my life. There's
it's got a gift ledger. You can mark who you've given and gotten gifts from.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
It's got the Japanese eras. That's really clever because Japanese eras, I believe, are based on the emperors. So a lot of people will say, "Oh, I was born in Heisei 6," when you're actually meaning 1994. That's okay. That's very cool. There's some. It's very culturally based, but it's interesting, and there are some conversion charts in here also.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And there's plenty enough English to get by as far as like months and days and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not hard for me to navigate. It writes really smooth, and ink doesn't bleed through. You can see a little bit of ghosting, but it's
thin
fun.
paper.
Yeah.
Thin paper.
But like it takes a little while for the ink to dry.
So, really?
Yeah. So it's kind of like compared to my Rodeo, which I have started using a little bit, which I hadn't previously. And it has like a little bit more of a tactile feel, but it like soaks up the ink immediately.
Oh, that's good.
Whereas this, you kind of just have to like, okay, I'm going to fill out my day and I'm just going to leave it open for 5 minutes or something, and then just like let it really dry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoy it, and it's helping me kind of hold my time a little bit more accountable, because sometimes I'll go, oh yeah, I totally worked 6 hours today, 8 hours today, 10 hours today, whatever. But then it's like I look back at it and I go, yeah, but what happened in this 5 hour block? There's just nothing here.
Yeah.
And then I think back on it and I go like, oh, I was just like watching Linus Tech Tips for a while and then I just kind of sat for an hour or two.
Yeah. Okay. You're allowed to sit.
Yeah, those are
allowed
actually
to
pretty
sit.
important parts of your day.
You can do that.
Yeah. But then it's like, yeah, it's a good visualization of what I do and when I do it.
Yeah. Very
Okay.
cool. What have you been up to lately, Jeff? You been playing anything? I know you. I mean, you play a lot of games. But
I've been playing everything. I mostly have been obsessed with the Hamilton musical over the last month.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I never got into it when it was like the thing that everybody was into, and
but now that the original cast is gone, you can finally sit back and enjoy.
Yes, I think that I'd started listening to it once or twice, and I didn't realize that it was so long. And then I one day kind of just sat down and listened to the whole thing, and now I'm really obsessed with it. So
cool.
Because it turns out that you can't find, they don't have like a good like video recording of it.
Right.
But what they do have is people make animatics for the songs on the internet, and somebody has strung together the entire thing into a 3-hour like animatic movie that's very like kind of anime-ish almost because of the
art style
speed and the art style. But yeah, really been into that. And then of course there's just a billion games out there.
I got Stardew Valley in the past month on the Switch. I had it on the reason I had been holding off on getting it was because I had it on the PC, and I liked it on the PC, but I never fell into it. And I went and looked at my play record yesterday, and it said I'm already at like 80 hours of Stardew, and I felt like a month or two ago I finished Picross S on the Switch, which is a lot of puzzles. I had 100%ed it, and I finished it at like 90 hours. And so to have like reached 80 in Stardew Valley already was like kind of off-putting.
Yeah.
But then I also got SteamWorld Heist on the Switch. Very good game.
Very good.
Another game.
I was pissed. Stardew Valley doesn't have touchscreen support on the Switch, which seems like it should be a no-brainer.
There are a handful of things where touchscreen support would be really good for it.
Yeah.
But I think it's mostly fine with the controller stuff.
I hate virtual mice.
Yeah, I don't like that they have a virtual mouse cursor.
Yeah.
That seems like something they should have fixed completely. That they should have just taken it out of the whole thing. It's like, okay, we're going to make this control, because it's out on other consoles, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
they also have virtual mice.
That seems like a dumb thing. So I'm kind of doing those right now. And then I fell back into Japanese Style Originator on Netflix. The show about Japanese craftsmanship, Japanese aesthetics. It's like a Japanese how's it made? That's not it.
How it's made?
How it's made. Yeah. How's it made?
How's it made?
Here on the scientific channel. But there's like 30 or 40 episodes of that on Netflix. So I'm going back through. I think I stopped in the middle of the one on Japanese gardens. And it's really fascinating just like how much thought goes into stuff like that. I mean, you look at like a large Japanese garden and you think, okay, well, yeah, it's very well maintained. There is a flow to it, but like they're very particular about different tenets of like, creating depth, creating reasons for people to look around, using objects to attract the eye to somewhere else, using objects to create images and illusions out of spaces. It's very particular, and it's interesting to see they call it the like extreme beginner's guide to all of the particularities of it.
I do like particularities.
Yeah, and it's got like it's kind of like a panel show. So it's very like quiz based format. So a lot of it's like, hey, so we're going to show you this package on a thing. We're not going to tell you what it is. Here are the materials that they use. What do you think it is?
Weird.
And then they show you the whole process. And it's not until the very end where you realize what it is, probably because you don't even know what it is. One of the early ones is like a Japanese candle, and it's not made how you would think you would make a candle. And so it's at the very, and it doesn't look, it's different. The shape is not the same as it is in Western candles. And so you get to the end and like, okay, you've got a weird flared looking thing, and it's a candle. It's another weird culture sort of thing. but it shows like how much craft goes into any number of skills, and it reminds you to like make what you do like really intentional, and like put a lot of care into stuff.
Gotcha.
So that's Japanese style originator on Netflix. So
I wanted to watch the toys.
Oh, the toys that
season
made
2,
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what the new toys are in these episodes?
Star Trek, Transformers, Hello Kitty, and one other one. I don't remember.
Cabbage Patch Kids.
I think it's another like boys' toy.
Beanie Babies.
No, it's further back than that because the Star
G.I.
Trek
Joe?
ones
No,
are
no.
those, and they did that in the first one. The Star Trek ones are
Jax.
those big like. Say more things.
Stick in a wheel. No, the Star Trek ones.
Jenga?
Something tall?
Yeah, they're like the old. They're kind of like based off of the Barbie form factor. They're like they have like the cloth clothes, and they're like the taller ones.
Weird.
So season 2 is Star Trek Transformers
Checkers.
Lego. Lego is the third one.
Oh, right, because Lego's on the cover art for it now.
Yeah, and then apparently the Hello Kitty is going to have something to do with Sanrio because my girlfriend had a heart attack because they had Gudetama as the
Oh, yeah.
thumbnail thing.
Huh.
I'm like, that's not Hello Kitty, but
That would be interesting because I thought Gudetama was a more recent character, but maybe I don't know. Maybe it only got popular more recently.
maybe. I mean, it's a Sanrio thing as well, right? So
Yeah.
But
Very cool.
I've been playing a lot of XCOM 2.
Yeah.
About 60 hours in.
Whew.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
mhm.
Are you it sounded like when we talked about it a while ago, you were saves coming a lot.
Yeah.
Are you still saves coming?
Yes, but less.
Okay. That means you're getting better.
Well, also there's a tipping point in every XCOM game where it's like, you start out early and
Everything sucks.
yeah, you're up against the odds and none of your people have any equipment and you only have a couple of people to send on missions. And then it's like you get some really vital upgrades like putting more than 4 people on a mission.
Yeah.
Greatly improves your odds. Once you get like your first major armor upgrade, it's like, oh, my people don't have 5 pips of health. They have like 10 or something. And it greatly improves your odds. And so now I'm on the downhill slide where it's like I'm just constantly getting upgrades and my people are just getting incredibly powerful.
Okay.
And so I'm just like, brah, brah, brah. XCOM 1, I only had to load a save like once or
Really?
twice. And that's because there was one mission that they don't tell you about where things go really bad all of a sudden very fastly. And that one I had to load up a save to prepare for.
Yeah.
And XCOM 2 is definitely a bit tougher, but it's also, I think the fact that I played through XCOM 1 not too long ago kind of worked against me here because there are some slightly varied mechanics where it's like, there's this whole concealment mechanic where you start off the mission and none of the bad guys know that you're there. And they have like circles of detection around them. And if you go into those circles,
So
then
it's not just
things kick off.
It's not just a visibility thing.
Right.
Weird.
So you can see them before they can see you because you're going in and infiltrating.
Yeah.
And there's very specific ways to use that strategically to your advantage, but it took me a while to pick up on that because XCOM 1 had none of that. So I was just kind of running in and just doing dumb stuff for a while until until it clicked. Yeah. And there's just a lot of little things like that. And going back and forth between the two, there are so many quality of life improvements in XCOM 2.
Yeah.
Like you can say, hey, I need you to navigate to this place, but I need you to take this specific route there. And unfortunately, they don't do a very good job of communicating that to the player that this is a feature that you can do, but it's totally in there.
Huh.
And there's things like, hey, if I move this guy here, I know that I can see these 3 enemies from that spot. Whereas XCOM Enemy Within, you just go, it looks like he should be able to see him from this spot. I really hope that he does.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff in that game.
playing SteamWorld Heist reminded me a lot of XCOM, but SteamWorld Heist is very forgiving. If your characters die, you get them back. No worries. In fact, you're better off completing a mission where you have someone die and then just doing the mission again, because you still get water resources basically from it. So I'm enjoying having a softer XCOM like experience.
Yeah, it definitely got nicer for me once I accepted that I was just going to save and load my way through that game.
Yeah.
Because I use it a lot of times as like, oh, I did very poorly through this mission. There's clearly something I'm missing. And so I load it up, and every now and then there's like one mission where it's like, I'm going to play this mission like 5 times until I get a decent run through.
Yeah.
Just because one, that's fun to me, to kind of work my way through it. But also, it's like, I need to learn, did I send the wrong people on this mission? Did I give them the wrong things? Did I take the wrong approach?
Mm-hmm.
Did I fight these enemies wrong? Like there's a lot of intricacies to playing through that.
Cool. All right, well, let's do plugs. Jeff?
RageSelect.com. .net. Well, not .net. .com.
We're not doing the domain ad.
No, not doing the domain ad. RageSelect.
.pizza.
Yeah. .ev. .whatever. Type that in and you'll find it. So.
Very cool. Brandt?
You can find me on Twitter at Getwag, GATOWAG. Also Instagram at Getwag. You can find me on Twitch, even though I haven't been doing that much lately, but maybe I will at some point. Same thing. You could also find me on Instagram at Modern Rogue Show.
Yeah.
Where I do our posts there. Same with Twitter at Modern Rogue Show.
Very cool. You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Broadcast, BRYCS. I also do the streams at twitch.tv/Night Attack, where all the live podcasts go, including this one. Speaking of this show, you can find out more about the show at bizarrebriefing.com. Get old episodes, time codes, RSS links, YouTube, Twitter, all that good stuff. If you want to watch a video version of the show, you can also see it at youtube.com/scamstuff. That's where it goes. Thank you guys for joining us here on the May 2018 edition of the Bizarre Briefing. See you guys next month. Bye.
Bye. We didn't even talk about burning bodies with lye. See ya.
Oh, we didn't.
That's fine.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.